With the Smart Stick, you're going to learn the 3 P's of golf: plane, power, and precision. Here's how I choose to use my Smart Stick. This is the way this works best for me. You can see here I've drawn a line on the ground or put some tape on the ground, and what we've done in the studio here is run a piece of wood at an angle, probably about the lie angle of a 5-iron, up away from the ground. That's going to be important for both your takeaway and your follow through. I like to call this end of the laser 1, this end laser 2. That's going to help me get the club back on plane. It'll help you do the same. So when I set up, to know that I'm tracing the correct sort of line, I'm going to point laser 1 at the line on the ground. I'll call that the plane line. I'm going to point laser 2 at my tummy here. As I start the club away from the ball, or from its starting position, I want to point laser 1 along the line, but at the same time as doing that, I think it's really important to point laser 2 still at the tummy. You see, if all you did was point at the line, you can cheat this, because you can clearly see there, yeah, laser 1's pointing at the line okay, but that's not on a plane I'd want you to play golf with. So I think it's really important as you use the Smart Stick, laser 2 stays pointing at your tummy as laser 1 stays pointing down at the ground. Now as you keep swinging forward, swinging back here, at some point laser 2 starts to come down, and I think you can see that laser 2 is more or less coming down the line on the wall. Now if you just off a little bit, that's okay, and then laser 2 is going to come right along the line there, so that at the end of the backswing, laser 2 is more or less pointing somewhere along that line. Doesn't matter if you're a bit short, doesn't matter if you're a bit long. But from here, not too many slices, not too many pulls, not too many pushes, not too many hooks. Now I'm going to bring laser 2 back down that line. As I keep going forwards, I'm going to be pretty sure here that laser 2 is going up the wall, and eventually laser 1 is going to come back on the line, or very, very close to it. And now as I keep turning, laser 1 goes up the wall. I'd have to tell you that laser 1 going up the wall here is a big deal. That actually puts the turn of your body into the follow-through. Now if you practice and you have laser 1 pointing where it should be, laser 2 pointing where it should be, and you have a sense of going up and down a wall here, most of your shots are going to go a lot more online. The great Ben Hogan said the secret to golf was digging it out of the dirt. Well, you may still have to do some of that, but let me tell you, with this next piece of the Smart Stick, you might not have to dig quite as deep. This feature, the wrist bar feature, is truly wonderful for helping people improve the golf better. Let me show you how it works. When I set up here, you can see how the wrist bar is resting against my left forearm. Now when I swing back, keeping my lasers pointing at the base of the plane, of course, but as I swing back and I start to cock my left wrist, you can see how that wrist bar stays touching my left arm, but actually gets, at least to the camera's view, underneath my left arm. Now, we call this keeping the mouse in the house. As you start down, if you can keep that wrist bar sort of hidden under your arm, or at least hidden to that camera, as laser 2 points at that line, you are getting into that desired, late, delayed, powerful hitting position. If in fact you release it too early, you can see the mouse didn't stay in the house, that's gone. So keep the mouse in the house, that's good. Keeping that wrist bar under your arm, all the way down here, very powerful delayed release. And then you're going to let the left wrist uncock, but this is the wonderful part of the wrist feature. The left wrist uncocked, but it didn't collapse. How do I know that? Because the bar is still touching my arm. That's at 90 degrees to my target line. I'm on plane, I'm hitting it square, that ball's going straight. You see, I don't want you to take this wonderful piece of equipment and learn to swing on plane doing it that way. That's on plane, but the mouse didn't stay in the house and the club face is wide open, and you'll spend most of your time wandering around in the right-hand rough. So, the wrist bar, it gets under your arm, keep it under your arm, still touching the arm. Don't let the mouse out of the house just yet. Let the mouse out of the house, but the left wrist is still touching that bar. So many players do this. It's not good. I mean, laser 2 would be pointing at my right hip. There's a big gap here. That's a no-no. You keep it against the left wrist as you go through for a good part of the follow-through. And that, of course, is a look of all the best players. So the wrist bar is a valuable piece of this wonderful piece of equipment. I use Smart Stick to help people check the shoulder turn, and I also check my own shoulder turn with it. Here's how I do that. I've got, again, the same reference line on the ground, which is about 90 degrees to my target line. And initially what I'm going to do is put the Smart Stick across the shoulders, touching both upper arms. Now, I'm just going to have one laser on, laser 1. I'm going to make sure that I turn that until I can see that the Smart Stick is parallel to the lines on the ground. Now, very good chance, if the Smart Stick is parallel to lines on the ground, that your laser might be just behind the lines on the ground. And I mean, I think that would be absolutely fine. Now, a question I'm often asked is, how far should the laser be down that line? If you have a bad back, if you're getting on a few years, like I am, about 10 feet I've found to be a good sort of test. From my toes to where that laser, about 10 feet. If you're younger and you want to hit more powerful shots and or you do not have a back problem, probably about 6 feet. I can feel a lot more wind up there, a lot more strain, probably more powerful, but you have to be in better shape to do it. Now, here's what I would not recommend, is to get that laser very close to your feet. That's too tilted, that's not good at all. Now, one other thing here, some of you might make a good turn and then have the wretched right shoulder roll from the top. If you are a right shoulder roller, then your laser will dive to the left. That's no body pattern to be creating at all. If you slice, if you pull, if you know you're over the top, try doing this with your Smart Stick. As I shift and tilt, the laser will actually move a little bit up as it goes forwards. The more the laser moves up, the more you can swing from what people call the inside. And if you do that, I know the slice is a thing of the past for you. Not only can you check the shoulder turn with the Smart Stick, you can really have a good look at how your hips are moving, what plane they're moving in, and are they doing a good job that's going to help you or not. Here's how I check hip turn. I hold the Smart Stick just below my belt and hopefully about level to the ground, and of course I'm going to bend forwards. Now, I've got a reference line, but now I've got it a bit more between my feet, and I just want to turn and see where that laser comes out. Now, I think you can see there, that laser's probably, hey, if I draw a line from that laser pretty much towards my right heel, that's about a 45-degree angle. And again, I think for us not so young players, a 45-degree angle is good. 90 degrees shoulders, 45 degrees hips is good. One thing that I particularly like with the Smart Stick is to see that the laser line is not too close to my feet. If you're a hip slider, and my goodness, I see plenty of those on the tee, if you're a hip slider, you're going to see that the line, you don't get a 45-degree angle, far from it, and the line is too close to your feet. The laser's too close to your feet. So, cross the belt, about a 45-degree turn, about 5 feet from the toes, get the hip action right, get the shoulder action right, you've almost got it licked.